Hello and welcome to Module 6 lecture. In this module, we are going to talk about chapters 10 and chapters 11. So I have exciting news. This module also does not have a quiz, so that is exciting. But it does have a written assignment, and this written assignment is going to kind of be a way for you guys to be the teachers, so to speak, or to kind of shed some light on some cultural groups. So the written assignment will explain this a little bit more, but primarily from page 440 on in your textbook, there are 4 ethnic or cultural groups that you can choose from. You are going to pick one and you are going to answer a few questions about it, share about it in a discussion group on Canvas, and then I'm asking that you check in on the other groups so that you can kind of learn about the other cultural groups that you did not pick. So like I said, kind of a different way to try to get this information out. Because like I said in the very beginning, some of it, just reading a textbook can be a lot of information and it can become really dry. And trying to do these different activities to kind of put a different spin on it and help you guys understand it better, because that is the goal of this class, is for you to understand it, not just be able to regurgitate it back to me. Okay, so that is our written assignment for this module. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time on chapter 10 and kind of just briefly talk about chapter 11, since that will be a lot of that written assignment. Chapter 10 talks about family. This is another one where I could probably go off on a tangent about and talk to you guys for a while. The family is a very powerful system. I want you to take a moment to kind of think about your own family, think about your family dynamics, think about what happens if something happens to you. How does your family respond or react? Or think about if something happens to someone else in your family, how do you respond? How do you react? Again, it is a powerful system. It teaches us how we see ourselves. It can teach us how we love or if we don't love, and it teaches us how we cope with things or how we deal. The family really teaches us a lot growing up, and that's where a lot of some of our values and things first become instilled in us. So when you think about the family, like I had asked you a few moments ago, if something had happened to one person in your family, and how did everybody respond or react? Well, again, the family is a system, so it's more than the sum of its parts. Any change that happens to one person, it tends to affect the whole family. So it's like a family dynamic, more so. They say that addiction is actually a family disease and not just an individual disease. So take a minute, think about that. That's a lot to kind of take in. So if one person in your family becomes addicted to substances, how does it affect everybody else? Is everybody else is going to be faced with struggling with some aspect of that addiction as well? In the Al-Anon meanings, which is discussed a little bit more in this chapter, Al-Anon is for the family of a person in addiction. They talk about, or their concept is the 3 C's. So you didn't cause it, you can't cure it, and you can't control it. So cause, control, and cure are the 3 C's. The main goal is trying to help family members understand that, even though this concept that, addiction is a family disease, but you didn't cause that person to become addicted to it. It was them, that became addicted, and you can't cure them, but what you can do is help them work through it. You don't want to enable that person to keep going. So the text does go into some interesting detail about how family systems work and how how it impacts with substance use and different things. I'm not going to go too far into detail in this lecture about that. I will say from personal experience, I personally loved doing family sessions in my drug and alcohol treatment days, because I felt that, once I got my client to a place where they were making progress, they were doing good, and kind of jumping back to something from AA, one of the things in their process of steps to recovery is, making amends. And sometimes you are making amends with your family. So with doing a little bit of a family session or family treatment is you can kind of bring that support person in, get them to understand, okay, so this is what was going on, this is where I'm at now, and this is where I want to go in the future. So family sessions can be really beneficial, especially if the family's willing to participate and if the client is ready to participate with their family. I feel like it can really help strengthen those relationships because, as we've mentioned before, having that key support person in your life is a key factor to recovery. So family sessions can be extremely beneficial in that sense if family is, that key person. Lucky for you guys, maybe not lucky. But if we were in class, we would be doing this as a role play. So unfortunately, we don't really have the means to do that at this point, to do this virtually. But there is an assignment on Canvas where I have you guys actually watch a YouTube video of like a family session. But I wanted to still kind of touch upon this. In your textbook on pages 402 to 405, it talks about this role theory. And there are different roles that people in the family can take on. So you have your addict, and that is the person who's using substances. You have a family manager, and that tends to be the person who is the enabler. That is the person that's kind of getting that person to continue using. You have a hero, which tends to be the firstborn, and this person is a high achiever. They're a perfectionist, do everything right, do everything by the books or whatever. You have a scapegoat, and this person is the person that gets blamed for everything in the family. You have the lost child. This person is sometimes the second born, and it is the person who is no trouble, can entertain themselves, do their own thing, such as that. The last one is the mascot, and the mascot is your family clown. So, think of someone that might be silly in your family. They are the mascot. So this role theory is kind of an interesting perspective, and you get to see how it kind of plays out with addiction. The last part of the chapter talks a little bit about family treatment and, what is helpful, those stages of change in the family development and stuff like that. So that is chapter 10. Chapter 11, which is where that written assignment that I mentioned in the beginning comes in. We are talking about ethnicity, culture, class. I know that I have not had you read any of the case studies in any of the other chapters, but in this particular chapter, there's a very small case study about Monique. And I do want you to read that, very short, because it kind of puts some perspective on this chapter, and it depicts what makes recovery hard with this case study. 3 things I want you to take away from this chapter, aside from, the assignment where you get to kind of teach us a little bit. Race is a social construct. It is not a biological category of a person. Ethnicity is a shared common historical experience. So, your area of region, if you will. And culture is your shared values and beliefs that you may have with someone or people. So this is chapters 10 and 11. And like I said, we will kind of review the rest of chapter 11 by doing that assignment. And that is it for this module. Thank you.